Someone just clicked on our podcast!
Nobody panic. This is what we train for. Lily, do you have the epic intro music?
Yup, just give me 1 second.
Hi, I'm Daz.
I'm Ollie.
And I'm Lily.
We all know each other from the radio.
And we're all a dynamic trio of movie nerds. Or is it geeks?
And we're doing the ultimate movie cinema podcast just for you.
Each week, we will be discussing the latest in pop culture news
And breaking down your all-time favorite movies.
From dissecting storylines to highlighting the work behind the scenes.
This is Popcorn Jabber.
Hello there.
Hey, and welcome back to another episode of Popcorn Jabber. And as you can tell, both see and hear, it's a bit of a different episode, more of a special episode.
Yeah, I reckon.
Very, very special. Not only is today the 10th episode of our podcast,
That's insane.
but also we're celebrating it May the 4th style.
Oh, yeah.
We are here. If you're watching this on video, we are here in our Star Wars cosplay attire.
Yeah. At the Oatmill Cinema in Mount Gambier.
Yeah.
We've got the background, which means we feel qualified now.
Yeah, it's legit as.
That's it. The Oatmill Cinema has generously given us the opportunity to record here and be able to do an episode here. And so, as you can see, we're in front of the entire theatre.
A live empty studio audience.
Basically, yes. At the time of recording, this is May the 5th, but we've been spending the whole May the 4th weekend together watching the first 6 Star Wars films. And so, for our What's Poppin' this episode, rather than talk about, what's been going around in the world and with pop culture, we're going to be talking about what's been going around with us this weekend and what we thought of the Star Wars films and our cosplay and just the whole experience in general.
Yeah.
Holy dooly.
Well, should we start with the very striking costume that's going on here?
Yeah. Oh, look, Ahsoka Tano. She doesn't even make an appearance in any of these films. She's totally like
That's
a
true,
Clone
actually.
Wars TV show legend, but she's my favorite of the female characters in Star Wars that I know of. I, in all honesty, didn't get time to finish this costume properly, and you can tell which bits are done and which bits are not. The random writing on it and the lack of blue paint. But I did the back.
You did, that's true.
And then I didn't do the front, and I really don't know what I was thinking. That was a very strange choice on my part.
It's just part of the artistic
But-
process.
Yeah, exactly. And honestly, it's probably going to come off halfway through because it's a bit warm and it's a little bit itchy. But it is fun.
Yes, indeed. And you won a prize, didn't you?
Yeah. So I was actually here for a birthday that was Star Wars themed as well. So that's where this costume made its first appearance.
Yeah.
And yes, I got a very generous award for.
Wow.
And you've also had a whole bunch of people compliment you. So,
Yeah. Oh, look, I've had some eyebrows. One friend of mine thought I was an Oompa Loompa at first, so
Wow.
that
Wow.
humbles you pretty quick. But that
Jeez, okay.
was good. No, it was good, and we had some great interactions with one young person in particular, actually, in
Yes.
between films, which was so cool. Some lightsaber battles.
Yeah. One little kid in general came up to us after we watched, was that Attack of the Clones?
Yeah, episode 2.
Yes.
After we watched Attack of the Clones, and this little kid came up to me and be like, "Oh, you're a Jedi." I'm like, "Oh, yeah, I am."
Yeah.
And
So now.
for now, that's it.
I just walk around the corner, I just hear the sound of lightsabers clashing.
Yeah. But literally, I think we made that kid's night. That, like, honestly,
Oh.
being like in the costume
yeah, he
and
loved it.
doing the lightsaber choreography and everything, like he loved
Yeah.
it. Like,
I mean,
it was-
that's why you do this kind of thing, right? Like,
it's absolutely.
it's so cool. I mean, I'm obviously not a part of it, but when you see like the 501st and they go around to hospitals and they just like visit these sick kids, like that is so cool. I love that kind of
Yeah.
stuff. So this kid, and then I had like one person say cool outfit. How many did you get?
I got a few looks,
Yeah.
which is good.
Yeah.
They probably thought they were worried about being turned into, turned by me into the dark side.
Yeah,
so,
it's a good point.
They kept
Yeah.
their distance.
Yeah, they're aware of your tendencies.
Yeah.
Dark
Yeah.
sides.
I feel like I got comments, not necessarily compliments.
Yeah.
I got a range of things. I got some people that were like, that commitment, so good. Commitment's not the same as saying good job. It's just like, you painted yourself orange. You deserve recognition for that.
Yeah.
Yeah. There you go.
Hey, we'll take it.
That's it.
Yeah.
But this whole weekend has just been an absolute blast. Seeing 6 Star Wars films in 2 days, it sounds fun, but it's definitely mentally exhausting in a way as well. At least it was for me, but I don't know. What for you guys, what was it like?
I thought it's interesting this morning because I was reflecting on Return of the Jedi, and you're like, oh yeah, we watched all 3 of them yesterday. That's weird. And then
Yeah.
today, it's almost better not to. I mean, marathons are great, but it's almost better not to let it simmer.
That's literally what I was going to say.
Yeah, yeah. How'd you find? Because you did miss Return.
I actually, because of the birthday party, I missed both the second and third of the original episode, 5 and 6.
And ironically, the prequels, your least favorite.
I was here all day for the prequels. And like seeing them on the big screen, I finally understand what Ollie's been saying about you have to make sense.
Yeah,
It really
it's so
does.
true.
It so does.
Mm.
And it's funny, as someone who loves film, how much I hadn't grasped that until we did this.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I have to be honest, I'm gutted I didn't see the original trilogy. I think because they're films we've already seen before, the whole like letting it sit thing isn't too much of an issue.
Yeah.
Mm.
But like if this was like, for example, you know, the Dune series, if you haven't watched the first one, then you go watch the second one and the first one in one sitting. Like you did that, didn't you?
I did, yeah.
Like you'd already seen the first one?
No, that was the first time.
Yeah, whoa.
I
How did you
experienced
feel
it.
after that? Because
I'm glad.
that's the kind of thing where I'll be like, I am so fried.
No. See, for me, that'd be the way I'd recommend anybody to see it. See if you haven't seen part 1 and part 2, see them together.
Right.
Don't see them separate. I would say if you've got a big screen available, of course, that's the caveat.
Yeah.
Because it's
Phone screen for 7 hours.
yeah, but the thing is, it's one story. Whereas episode 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 of Star Wars, they are individual components of a larger story. Whereas Dune Part 1 and 2 is literally one book.
Yeah.
So I
sure.
feel that's the way to go, to watch it in one go. But
Interesting.
I know that's not for everybody, and I'm amazed I didn't take a single toilet break. That was uncanny.
That's concerning. You must be so dehydrated.
Well, no, I drank plenty, but I think it's just all the sand. And you would know a thing or two
I
about
don't
that,
like
Anakin,
sand.
but- You know, I love
my
it
word.
when we were watching these films and then a few people laughed as soon as he said, I don't like sand. And you're like, there
The
it
whole
is.
film, no one had really been that I'd heard super verbal. Like, but the first one, episode 4 on Saturday, like the audience was laughing, the crowd was really engaged with it. It was really cool. And then no one was quite as engaged on the same level in the prequels with the sort of laughing. But yes, that one moment in Attack of the Clones 2 where he's like, I hate sand.
Yeah.
Everyone's like, lol.
Lol. Yeah. Definitely, I feel like the reactions with the cinema were good because I feel like, and we watched, what was it? We watched Elf, was it, last
Yes.
December? And
Yeah.
like, we were the only ones laughing at it, and then like no one else was laughing.
Yeah, that was a particularly dodgy one. Like, I'm
Yeah.
surprised because you're fans. So that's
Yeah.
why you're there, surely.
Yeah.
I mean, maybe they weren't. And they just
Maybe,
they hate watching.
maybe they were just like, oh, it's a kid's family movie. I'll take my family to go see it. I haven't seen it though.
But I have to be stoic because I'm not a child. I don't know.
Yeah, that's it.
Yeah.
But hey, awesome weekend though in
Yes.
general. And because we saw all the Star Wars movies, the one we've just most recently watched was the film we're talking about right now for the podcast, Revenge of the Sith.
Hey.
Yes. Oh man, so keen. Ollie, your favorite film is this one, right? Of the
Yes.
Star Wars ones?
Yeah,
Very
yeah.
good.
It's tight between that and Empire, but definitely Revenge of the Sith is the way to go.
Yeah. My favorite too. My real favorite. My real favorite one.
I still feel betrayed. Okay.
So
Still feel betrayed.
I noticed in Attack of the Clones in particular,
Mm.
Daz, you had several moments where you were like, oh, cringe. Oh, roll your eyes. And I'm just wondering if you are more on my side now about the prequels.
Oh look, if you're trying to convert me into an OT fan,
I'm not.
uh,
Well, actually, you should be an OT fan. But anyway.
look, you probably didn't see it in Revenge of the Sith as well, but I had like my little funny little reactions to that as well. So like, yeah, during the bits with the Attack of the Clones and with the whole Padme Anakin bit, where I was like, that sort of stuff.
I've got to say, I thought that the romantic dialogue is just badly written, but
Oh, yeah.
I thought the two actors had worked it out a little bit better, so they were able to make it work and they were able to emote a bit
Yeah.
better. I felt
In episode 2?
in episode 3, then
3,
over
yeah.
2.
Oh, gotcha. Yeah.
Yeah, I feel like they liked each other, you know, as co-workers, but I feel like they're like, yeah, but now it's just like, oh, we're probably at least friends and we got like a bit of a rapport or something.
Yes. Okay, I'm with you.
Yeah.
But I
So-
will say, during Revenge of the Sith, my reactions were like the funny planned ones where it was like when Anakin had to turn to the dark side, I had like put my hoodie
Yeah,
on,
yeah.
my cloak hoodie on, and just be like, especially when we got to Youngling Sing.
Oh my goodness.
But yes, that will be talked about very soon this episode. So,
Yes.
Revenge of the Sith came out 2005, so 3-year gap, as naturally in between Star Wars movies it has been.
It's almost 20 years old now, isn't it?
Oh gosh, you're making me feel old.
Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah, 2005. That's crazy. Okay. guys, I have the opening crawl ready to read for this film.
Can we get some music?
War! The Republic is crumbling under attacks by the ruthless Sith Lord Count Dooku. There are heroes on both sides. Evil is everywhere. In a stunning move, the fiendish droid leader General Grievous has swept into the Republic capital and kidnapped Chancellor Palpatine, leader of the Galactic Senate. As a separatist droid army attempts to flee the besieged capital with their valuable hostage, 2 Jedi Knights lead a desperate mission to rescue the captive Chancellor. Amazing.
Top work, guys. I love it.
That was great.
The synergy was on point.
Guys, I gotta say, of all the Star Wars films, the most epic opening,
Yes.
this film.
Yeah.
It was the most epic. Like, it's a giant space battle straight away.
I feel that this scene, when you watch it, you sort of forget, and as soon as you watch it, you're like, this is what it's all about.
Absolutely.
It's the X factor. Is there a bit of a disagreement or uncertainty?
I was just trying to remember how the other films start.
It's usually a ship slowly floating by. Isn't it?
Yeah, that's true. I think that A New Hope is iconic.
Oh, iconic. Yeah.
As far as opening scenes go,
Mm.
I think that dramatic, like, what are they prepping for, catches my attention
Yeah.
Sure.
than the giant battle. But
Yeah.
I can't remember how any of the.
Oh, this one was definitely, I think, the most action-packed is probably a better
maybe,
word
yeah,
for it.
maybe the most, like,
Yeah.
the films for a start.
Well, the OT always start with the Empire. It's usually an Empire ship flying somewhere.
That's true.
Like Empire, it's the probes coming out. Return, they're flying towards the Death Star, if I recall.
It is. That's so true, actually. Yes.
Yeah.
It always starts with the Imperials. Yeah.
And then Phantom Menace, they're flying towards the Trade Federation.
Yeah, I think that definitely number 3 has a thrust you straight into the action kind of feel,
Yeah.
which I also think 4 does, but just in a more subtle way.
Oh, well, it's a little bit slower to get there, I suppose, but yes.
Like, I think you've just got that whole, like, it's troops running
Mm.
and then protecting corridors, and then bam, there's,
Yeah.
like, that's pretty.
Oh, it's still cool. Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah. But
So you're not rating the opening of this? Is this?
Oh, that was good.
Yeah.
It's just not my favorite.
Sure.
Not my favorite.
Fair.
Of the stuff.
I mean, is it your favorite, Daz?
look, in terms of just action-packed epicness, yes.
Yeah.
It's just like lasers, explosions, ships everywhere. It's just like it thrusts you straight into the action. You don't know what's going on unless you have read the opening crawl properly. But yeah.
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 Oh, I wanted to make a comment on the opening crawl.
Yes.
My favorite bit in that, and this is one of the most insightful bits that we sort of see in the Star Wars films, in my opinion, in terms of the political stuff, is there's heroes on both sides. Evil is everywhere.
That's cool.
They really liked that in the opening crawl, because one of the things I love about the Clone Wars series, other than Ahsoka herself, is the like way they actually explore the political side of things
Yes.
and like the political complexities of it. How there's
Yeah.
people who are neutral in the war who are good guys, and people in the war that are bad guys, and people on the other side that are actually good people
Yeah.
who don't want a war with the Republic. And so I liked that little sort of nod to the fact that there's good people on both sides of this.
People forget that, don't they? In the real world, you forget, I hate this person,
Totally.
hate that. And no, it's...
You assume if this person has one opinion about one thing.
Yeah, no, definitely not. That's not how it works.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, no,
That's a
definitely.
good pickup.
Is there anything you guys wanted to know about the whole space battle scene before we get to General Grievous's ship at all?
I mean, the way that it's shot is
Yeah.
spectacular. And I'd say this film in general, the way it's shot, it has an X factor that the last 2 prequel films have not had.
What do you mean by that?
It's almost hard to quantify, honestly, but the way it's shot, the way everything's characterized from the start to the very end, it is captivating. It's never dull. Whereas I feel, and I like the first 2 prequels, but some people say that the prequels should have been episode 3 over 3 films. And I understand that. When you watch episode 3,
Yeah, interesting.
it's so captivating, it's so iconic. Like when we were here, the busiest it was for the prequels was episode 3. That's
of
where it's
course.
at.
Yeah.
So there's an X factor. The way it's shot, like the opening, it's exciting without being too much.
And that's probably what's leading me to think that that's my favorite, like, epic opening scene there.
Yeah.
Because it's just the way it immerses you into that. And especially before anyone says anything, you've got like explosions flying everywhere and you're just following these 2 ships. You don't know who they are,
Yeah.
but you just thrust into that. And then it's just like, It's a bit of mystery, it's a bit of action, it's a bit of everything. It's great.
It
Yeah.
also ties in neatly with the Clone Wars, and I guess Anakin and
Yeah,
Obi-Wan's characterization
Yeah.
feels very Clone Warsy. Obviously, that came
Yes.
afterwards,
Yes.
but there's that like the heroic music, the banter between the two as we get into it.
Mm.
Yeah, it's so good.
Yeah. Also, I remember you commenting in our last, I think it was the last episode, but certainly in episode, when we're talking about episode 2, how Obi-Wan's quite harsh on Anakin.
Yes,
And I noticed that he's like way softer. in this
100%.
film. Like he's got much more humor. He's a lot bouncier. He smiles a lot more, which I feel like, yes, progresses well from the.
That's good.
Yeah. He is the definitive Obi-Wan in this film.
Aha, interesting.
Yeah.
That's cool.
Well, despite their friendship increasing and growing better, Obi-Wan's passion for flying has not gotten any better.
Yes.
I remember he said in episode 2, he's just like, "Oh, I don't mind flying. What you're doing is suicide." But then he says later on, "Oh, flying is for no." He said as in this film, flying's for droids.
Yes.
Yeah.
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 Yeah. And also we got the iconic line from Anakin, "This is where the fun begins."
So good.
Hey. Yeah. Okay. So this is when Obi-Wan and Anakin pursue General Grievous's ship. Anakin totally forgot to actually shoot the shields down before entering, so Obi-Wan's like, "Shoot the shields down before you get in."
It's amazing they lived this long. If that's like something they
Frankly,
forget.
it is a miracle.
Yeah.
Yeah.
That's it. I mean, look, we still see a bit of Anakin's, like, I don't know if ignorance is the word for it, but like he's just not always careful, maybe is the word for it.
Arrogant?
Reckless.
Arrogance, yes.
Maybe?
Yeah.
Because you see it a bit with the buzz droids when they're on Obi-Wan's ship,
Yeah.
and then like I guess you can't really do much in that case. But if you're on Anakin's ship, you know, shooting at Obi-Wan,
Yeah.
potentially blowing him up, I'm not sure that's the best move.
I mean, to
I
be
don't know.
fair, Obi-Wan was like, "Save yourself, get to the Chancellor." So
Yeah.
he's like, no, I'm having none of that. So
Yeah.
it
Yeah.
showcases his heart as well, which
That's true.
gets shown a lot in the Clone Wars, which makes him more
Yes.
likable. So,
Yes. Anakin in the Clone Wars feels like a totally different Anakin in the film.
so that's why I'd be interested to get both of your takes. I mean, you're probably a little bit closer to it with the Thrawn Disney novels.
Yeah.
Because Anakin's characterization, because they have lots of flashbacks to when Thrawn met
Right.
Anakin for the first time.
Oh, that's fun.
Yeah, but I feel the characterization is more Episode 2 Anakin and less Clone Wars Episode 3 Anakin. I'm like, I mean, you could have grabbed Episode 3 Anakin, but you didn't. So I'm like,
Interesting.
So,
Curious.
yeah.
Well, so Obi-Wan and Anakin board General Grievous's ship. They swoop inside and immediately take out the battle droids. They can sense Count Dooku's on board,
Mm.
and so they know it's a trap. But Obi-Wan's like, "Hey, let's bring the trap."
Yes.
So they board an elevator, and Obi-Wan gives R2 a little communicator. But the elevator suddenly stops moving, right? So Obi-Wan's trying to tell R2, "Hey, activate this elevator." R2, who is in the same room as 2 other battle droids, is just like, uh-oh, they're going to hear me. They're going to hear. And just like shoves the comlink inside its door, or whatever it is, the little trapdoor it's got. So Anakin doesn't want to wait around. He cuts a hole in the elevator.
Mm.
And Obi-Wan's like, whatever.
Always on the move.
He's always on the move. Yeah, anyway. But R2 eventually makes it go down. And everyone's like, "No, we need to go up." Oh, sorry.
And then
Yeah.
also Obi-Wan starts to say something about R2, and Anakin's like, "Don't make a loose wire joke."
Yeah.
And Obi-Wan's like, "I didn't say anything.
Say anything.
I didn't say anything." And it's like the funniest part in the whole
The whole film, all right?
film. Yes.
Things are only going to get darker from here.
It's not a funny film, really.
Yeah.
So it's a low bar.
Fair enough.
I will say,
I don't know.
seeing R2 attack the 2 droids with a combination of oil and fire.
Mm.
That was-
Yes, I wanted to say R2D2 is a surprisingly agile little R2.
Yes.
Yeah.
Like he's very bulky and very cylindrical, and yet he makes his way quite effectively navigating terrains that suit him.
He does.
For example, being picked up by battle droids.
Yeah.
I mean, that was very brutal. That's the beginning of what we're going to see in the Clone Wars to just be absolute war crimes by R2D2.
Yeah, that little droid is really the hero of Star Wars.
Yeah,
Yeah.
pretty much. And he also loses his jetpack at some point between then and the OT.
Oh,
Yeah.
We don't see that.
And it doesn't get brought up, obviously, in the Thrawn books or anything else. So
They were like, "This droid's overpowered. Get rid of
that's
Get
it.
rid of the
Nerf him.
Yeah, wow. So we get to the bit where Obi-Wan and Anakin reach the room with the captive Palpatine. And you know the bit where the chair swivels?
Yes.
Yeah, I think you and I were both watching to see if it was just like
Yeah.
Return of the Jedi, if he swivels his feet around like on the floor and like moves himself rather than the chair doing it.
Did you guys see if he was using his feet?
I did not look for that.
I tried to see, but look, it was probably.
Is there anything about this though? Like, is there a reason you're checking?
No, it's just a fun fact.
It's just like
But so I thought it was the original trilogy that happened.
No, it is, but
It
he
is.
then is in a similar chair, and does he do it again?
that's what
Oh,
we're
so
that's what
you're
we're looking out for.
wondering. Yes,
We're
we
wondering.
wanna know.
Yeah.
And I feel the jury's out the way it was done. Like it could be either one.
Honestly, knowing Star Wars, it's very possible that they deliberately didn't make it work.
Yeah.
So that they were just like, just use your feet. That worked.
It's
last
like
time.
the Stormtrooper head bump, like it was a mistake.
Yeah,
but we
yeah,
want to
yeah.
embrace that mistake by
Yeah.
giving a tribute to it.
Mm.
It's great. So they reach Palpatine, but it's a trap. Count Dooku walks in.
Mm.
And I love the bit here where Obi-Wan says, "This time we do it together." And Anakin's like, "I was going to say that."
Yeah.
Yeah.
That shows their growth.
I have to say, since this film came out for the first time and I saw it, I always thought the opening of Count Dooku in this film was weird. Like there's an entire scene that's been cut. There's something off
Yeah.
about
Really?
the whole thing.
Okay.
I feel that.
Yeah, because there's also a moment like the CGI of him jumping down. It feels soulless because it's obviously CGI. But I remember as a kid, like Kid Logic, and like I thought it was like a stand-in. It wasn't actually him, and then they sort of like inserted him. It felt like he was inserted.
I think because the build for the character of Dooku in Episode 2 is actually pretty good.
Yeah.
It's one of the strengths of that film.
Mm.
And so it's that classic thing of like building up this character and sort of having the suspense of it.
Yeah.
Like write some dialogue so that he says something before.
Yeah, but there's even a moment when he ignites his lightsaber, and then it cuts away quickly. Like there was
Yeah,
about to be some
right.
dialogue and gone.
Yeah, interesting.
Yeah.
With some weird splicing together of stuff, maybe.
Yeah, maybe.
Mm.
Yeah.
Carry on.
And so I like this line exchange here where Anakin says, "My powers have doubled since the last time we met." And Dooku goes, "Good. Twice the pride, double the fall."
But also, this is now weird because we live in a post-Clone Wars era. Like they met last week, and now his powers have doubled.
Yeah,
Oh,
lol.
yeah. Because I don't. Well, obviously, I haven't seen all of Clone Wars.
That's one of
So
those classic, like, they didn't have the full fight to know there was going to be a whole TV series films.
You say that, but they spent the entire Clone Wars making sure that Anakin and Grievous never meet. So they could have.
Really?
If you notice,
They worked that hard.
Yeah.
I didn't even think about it.
Yeah, they never meet.
Didn't even think about it.
Yeah, just so that it remains in continuity with what you're saying.
Wow. And then accidentally. It would have been hard to keep all the bad guys separate from the good guys.
I mean,
Anakin just doesn't fight anyone in the whole Clone Wars because they're like continuity. He kind of met these guys.
well, I mean, he could have fought perhaps Maul a little bit more, but let's be honest, we all want the main character to be Obi-Wan in the Clone Wars. I'm not biased here in any way. So.
during the fighting as well, it's funny just seeing Palpatine going like, "Get him,
Mm.
get ya." Yeah.
Getting into it.
Yeah, it was great. So Dooku force pushes Obi-Wan into some railing, knocks him unconscious, so now it's just Anakin fighting on his own. But Anakin can overtake Dooku and severs both of his hands and takes his saber.
Mm.
So he's got both sabers against his neck there. And then Palpatine's like, "Good, Anakin, good. Kill him. Kill him now." And then two things to note here. First of all, Dooku pulls a surprise Pikachu face.
He did that well.
He did that well.
Mm.
Surprise Pikachu.
Have you seen that meme where it's like a picture of...
Oh,
Yeah.
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 Yes, I do know you.
Yeah, because Dooku's reaction there is like, "I'm being replaced as the Euro Princess."
Yeah.
Like that's-
I always wonder why Dooku didn't say something. Master, excuse me. Like, I wonder
Yeah.
whether he was so caught off guard that he kept waiting for the like catch where Palpatine was like, "No, don't do that. It's not the Jedi way." Like, whether he thought he's not going to actually do it. It's
Yeah.
all part of the plan still, right? All part of the plan still. And then, oh no, I'm done for.
And then because he doesn't say anything at
I
all,
know.
so it's shock, isn't it?
It must be.
Yeah.
Surely you'd go, "Oh, Anakin, this is a plot. He's with me."
Yeah.
Surely you'd be like, "Well, I'm taking you down with me."
You think so? That would be a totally Sith move to make. I'm just saying.
Yeah.
I mean, you might know a thing or two about that, Anakin, but
No, yeah, anyway. The other note I had here, so Anakin's got his lightsaber and Dooku's lightsaber against his neck,
Mm.
and they're both red and blue.
yes,
And
symbolism.
that's sort of like the symbolism of good and evil here,
Mm.
all right? And Anakin has to make this choice here about whether to behead him or spare his life, right?
Mm.
And so you have that good, bad conflict there,
Mm.
as with the colors of the lightsaber there. I just thought that was a cool note cool
It is.
Yeah, it is
symbol
good.
there. And I
It's
never
cool.
thought about that any other times I watched it. Just like this part, I was like, blue and red. Oh, yeah.
Well, it's almost, I think, did we touch on it previously where, I can't remember if we did, where Obi-Wan is sort of the one who sort of keeps him grounded.
Yeah.
And Sidious is almost the devil on his shoulder. So the
Oh.
angel on his shoulder has been incapacitated. And meanwhile, the only voice is the dark one, the evil one. And so he's got the symbolic choice to make.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But he's got no support from the other side. So, all right, well, I guess we're doing this.
Yeah.
So,
Yeah. So, yeah, Anakin's like, I shouldn't do this. But Palpatine's like, do it. And so Anakin reluctantly obeys, beheads Dooku. And if you're quick enough, you can see his head rolling on the floor.
Yeah, yeah.
But yeah. And this is a bit, Anakin frees Palpatine and goes, I shouldn't have done that. It wasn't the Jedi way. And then Palpatine's like, well, it's only natural. Revenge is just a natural feeling, you know? Like, he cut off your arm, you cut off his head. Like,
It's so twisted because it's low-key not even what Anakin was saying. Like, Anakin was like, he should have stood trial. Palpatine's like, it's only natural. And instead of saying it's only natural, he was an evil guy. He might have escaped and caused more trouble. Like, he had to be executed now. He goes, you wanted revenge, you know, and that's normal. Like, he instantly twists it to plant the seed that, like, okay.
Yeah. Mm.
yeah, if anything, it was kind of to make him feel okay for what happened with his mother and the sand people
Yeah,
and
yeah.
all that sort of stuff like that. Was trying to justify that and be like, oh, it's good to give in to your hate. It's good to just be hateful because you want to get back at someone for what they did to you, you know?
Yeah.
It's twisted.
You know, I feel that should backfire later on, but it doesn't. Because, you know, turn Anakin to the dark side, you know. But,
Yeah.
That's a story for another time.
That's right. And so Anakin goes to pick up Obi-Wan, but Palpatine tells him to leave him or they won't make it out alive in time.
Mm.
But Anakin's like, no, his fate will be the same as ours.
And I love the memes around this because was the thing that Anakin kills everybody in this room at some point in the whole saga?
Yeah.
So he kills Dooku, he kills Obi-Wan, and he kills the Emperor.
Murderer.
Wow.
Yeah.
Hey, I'd never thought about that. There you go. Then they try to escape the ship, which involves narrowly avoiding being crushed by a falling elevator and, you know, being the whole ship being turned on its side. But they're eventually captured by ray shields and are brought to General Grievous. Oh, yes.
The droid with a bad cough.
Yeah, it's
Yeah.
true. Yep, bad cough.
I feel most people like to talk him up a bit more and say the guy with 4 lightsabers. But, you know, you can say the one with the
The
cough.
guy with pneumonia.
Wow, all right.
Pneumonia, wow. I would like to say that growing up, General Grievous was my favorite Star Wars villain of
Yeah.
all time.
Yeah, fun.
Yeah, there's
The
a lot of
dude
people.
can wield 4 lightsabers.
I mean, that was next level at that point, right?
Yeah.
You got to hand it to George Lucas. Now, he didn't design all these characters. He had other people and he approved it and everything. But he knows how to make a bad guy look like a bad guy.
Yeah.
I mean, look at this
No
guy.
questioning there.
Yeah.
That's it.
Yeah.
I saw a poster of Grievous when I was little,
Mm.
well before I saw the films. And I just remember being like, that's scary.
Yeah. Yeah.
That's a scary looking thing. Didn't know anything about his character or who he was, what he did.
Yeah.
Didn't know anything about Star Wars. I just knew that I didn't want to be around.
Yes.
My instincts were not wrong.
Correct move.
Now, was it Grievous goes when they walk into Grievous's room, he goes, ah, yes, the negotiator.
Yes.
That was a cool line there. So R2 is signaled, and then R2 shoots out lightning from its head and then frees Obi-Wan from the handcuffs. Anakin uses the Force to get a saber back, so then they have the upper hand here.
I like the little touch that Lucas puts in where he adds, because seeing these films on the big screen, you really see the attention to detail.
Yeah.
And that, I mean, it's obvious, but I feel they wouldn't do that these days. But there's already lightsabers in his cape. He's already killed other Jedi.
Yeah.
And it's like, right, so this guy is a legitimate threat. He's already got a couple in there,
Yeah.
so another one to the
I
collection.
feel like that's essential
Yeah,
for his character and his spot in the film.
yeah,
He can't be an up and coming.
yes,
He has to be already established.
yeah. But that's a thing that George likes to do, where you're in the middle of the story. The
Yeah.
stuff's already happened, and
Yes, I think that's really important for storytelling because that's convincing.
yeah,
That's real life.
yeah,
You know, when you meet someone, they're not a blank slate. They have their own journey that they've been on.
exactly, yeah.
Grievous doesn't just copy fighting styles from the Jedi, but also steals their lightsabers entirely.
Yeah.
So there you go.
Yeah. Yeah, it's cool. And
Yeah.
then they obviously expand it in Clone Wars stuff
Yeah.
and everything.
That's
yeah.
so cool. Anyway, so this is when the ship is basically self-destructing here. Or not self-destructing, it's just breaking apart.
It's destructive.
It's destructing, that's it. And then Grievous says what I like to say at the end of any work shift that is being very busy, time to abandon ship. Hey. Hey. So Obi-Wan and Anakin try to control what is left of General Grievous's ship, but at least they're flying half a ship.
I like to think so.
Yes. It enters the atmosphere of Coruscant and starts burning up. Fortunately, they make a not so smooth landing.
Pretty good, all things considered.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I was like, that's impressive. You crash landed half of a ship.
That fell through the atmosphere.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Hats off. I think they did a great job, all things considered.
It's
Yeah,
actually
I mean,
They lived to tell the tale.
It's quite impressive, actually.
I mean, I think anybody else would have died, but they did it. So,
That's
hey.
it. I wouldn't have made it through that.
I don't know. You're wearing a Ahsoka costume. You might have.
That's true. I might have had some burst of strength or something.
Because, hang on, that's what happens in the... So, I was just thinking he hasn't seen it. So, the point is there's some entry into
There's-
atmosphere shenanigans.
There may be.
Yes. Yeah.
and then, Ollie, do you want to quote Obi-Wan here once they land?
Another happy landing.
Hey! Yes. And so Obi tells Anakin he has to go report to the council, but tells Annie to go to the politicians as someone needs to be the poster boy. I love the chemistry between them. You can definitely tell in this scene that they're friends. Like
Yeah.
they are.
Yeah, it's so much better. I mean, look, I understand why they did it in the last film, but it's just so much... It's just fun to watch.
It's healthier.
Yeah, it does.
Yeah.
Makes it all the more sad.
Yeah.
And perhaps that was the thinking why they went that route.
I'm reckoning.
Yeah. But then again, we get another A moment where Anakin goes, hold on, this whole operation was your idea.
Hey! Isn't that the meme that people share when you keep watching Star Wars and your parents get fed up of it when you're growing up? And it's like, hold on, this operation was your idea.
That's good. I haven't thought of that.
Yeah, there you go. One to use on the fam.
Palpatine tells Mace Windu that the Senate will vote to continue the war as long as Grievous is alive. Anakin reunites with Padme, and they embrace each other.
Yeah.
And this is and they're still all this time they've been keeping their marriage a secret.
Yeah.
So no one else knows. Padme tells Anakin she's preggers. She
That's true. She
Yeah.
is.
Yeah.
Very pregnant.
I thought this scene, despite, like chemistry problems with the romance and all this kind of stuff, I thought it was quite well acted, this scene.
I did too.
I don't know.
Especially
I think it was good.
yeah. Especially though, seeing Anakin's reaction at
Yeah.
first to when Padme says she's pregnant.
Yeah.
Because he doesn't say anything at first, and he's like doesn't know how to react. Because I think Anakin here has this whole time just been thinking about Padme and their relationship together. That he's totally had like a baby out of the equation.
Yes.
I feel like maybe.
Well, I suspect she had baby out of the equation as well.
Yeah.
because it's very hard to secretly have a baby as
Yeah.
a senator.
Yeah.
Like she's already showing as a pregnant person. Says later on that going to get kicked out of. I'm probably going to lose because of this. The role of baby would have been something like we just can't. There's no way we can't raise a kid. We're not supposed to be romantically attached, let alone married. I mean, forget having offspring.
Yeah.
And yet here they are.
This will obviously come up later because Anakin stays at Padme's house, but does nobody ask where Anakin sleeps at
know.
night? Yeah.
No questions.
Yeah.
Obi-Wan knew.
Oh, yeah, he did. We'll get to that.
Despite them risking this for their jobs and having a baby and all that stuff, Padme says something wonderful has happened, and Anakin goes, it's the happiest moment of his life. So
Yeah, I think that's really precious, actually.
Yeah, absolutely. Grievous returns to his droid base in the Utapau system, and Sidious contacts him to move all the Separatist leaders to Mustafar. He also tells them that soon he will have a new apprentice, one far more younger and powerful.
He's a creepy one, that old Palpatine. I mean, sorry,
Indeed.
Emperor. Nobody knows it's Palpatine.
Yeah, spoiler.
Wow.
I'm so sorry, guys.
Don't step for me.
I'm going to leave now. I'm sorry,
Wow.
guys. Look, I finally listened to Count Dooku, all right? He really is making sense.
What did he say?
He said that the Senate is in control by a Sith Lord and all that. Yeah.
And this is moment here where Padme's brushing her hair and Anakin's staring at her, and Padme's like, I want to have the baby back on Naboo.
Duh.
For those not watching the video, Luke's just taken off the Ahsoka headpiece.
I've never seen an alien take off their head before.
Padme tells Anakin she wants to have the baby back on Naboo. Anakin's not really listening here. He's just staring at Padme. He just tells Padme how beautiful she is. And Padme's like, it's only 'cause I'm so in love. And Anakin's like, no, it's 'cause I'm so in love with you. And then she's like, so love has blinded you? And he's like, no, not exactly.
He basically made it a backhanded compliment.
Yeah.
He was like, you're so beautiful. She's like, thanks. He's like, it's just because I'm so in love with you. Being like, so I'm not beautiful like me.
Yeah. Whoops, walked into that one.
Padme's like, it's probably true.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I thought their acting here is another example of the dialogue being clunky, but like I feel like they're acting it better than they did in the last film.
That's so true. But this is where Anakin has a nightmare about Padme. He's screaming out.
We have to comment on the fact that she's sleeping in that darn nightie with the pearls all on her shoulder.
Yeah.
I'm like, that would be so uncomfortable. That
Ah.
dress is like a fancy dress, not a nightie. And she's got a full face of makeup on. And I heard there was 2 girls behind me and they commented on it. It's the epitome of hashtag just woke up like this.
Yeah.
Yeah, because those pearls would dig into your skin if you're like lying
I
on
was
your
like, I'd
side.
be uncomfortable.
Yeah.
You'd wake up with red marks everywhere.
Yeah.
No, she sleeps perfectly just flat.
Yeah, that's it. Don't move. Don't mess up the hair. There's took edges.
Yeah.
Anakin just goes to like stroke her hair like, no, don't touch.
So this is where we get to see shirtless Anakin. No, I don't know. Look, who you say?
Why is that so funny?
I don't know.
It's funny because it's you that said it.
I don't know. I mean, look, I'm
You're like-
I'm cosplaying as him. I'm like, oh yeah.
No comments about Padme in her nightie doing her hair, but you're like shirtless Anakin.
I'm cosplaying as him. Like, oh, I'd love to be that shredded. There.
Yeah.
He does look good.
He does. That's it. So yes, Anakin has a nightmare about Padme, and Padme's like, "What's wrong, Anakin?" He's like, "Nothing. It's fine." And then Padme's like, "When are we going to stop lying to each other?"
Mm.
You know,
That was a good moment.
yeah, that was a good moment there. So Anakin's like, "Fine, I'll tell you. You died in childbirth." And they're like, "Okay, it's just a dream. It's just a dream."
That's quite a thing to just drop.
Yeah,
Yeah. She tries to dismiss, but
Yeah. Yeah, it'd be interesting to know how worried she is.
that's such a
she's an optimistic character, so I'm going to go with she's just going to just hope for the best.
This is when they're both talking about how they're probably both going to get fired from their jobs if anyone were to find out about the baby. And then Padme's like, what if we have Obi-Wan help us? But Anakin completely just rejects the idea. It's like, we don't need him.
Wow. Don't need Uncle Obi-Wan? Not cool. Not cool. All right.
But Anakin does get some help. He tells Yoda of these painful visions, but doesn't reveal it's Padme.
So can we talk about how this was the worst advice in the world? It's just, it's
The epitome of why the Jedi failed.
yes, it's an inhuman advice that he gave him. Completely just let go of everything you care to lose. And it's like,
Yeah.
I can't do that. I'm a human.
For me, it's a little bit of that whole right thing, wrong reason, except that it's spreading into not even the right thing. I guess what I'm saying is, I feel like I understand what they're trying to say.
Yeah.
Letting go, in my case, looks like surrendering to God.
Mm.
So, like, I love my family a lot, and definitely something that freaks me out randomly is the idea of losing them.
Mm.
And at the end of the day, I have to let go and trust them to God because I can't control that. You know, like I can't do anything to protect them from any particular thing. Like I have to just trust that God's taking care of them. And so I guess within that, you could say letting go. And if you want to put that in the Star Wars universe, you would be like, let go and trust the Force. But
Yeah.
the area it goes wrong in is one, that's not entirely what Yoda means.
Mm.
And B, even if it is, it's explained so poorly that what you have is like to be a true Jedi, you have to be basically unattached. You have to have no emotional connection to the people around you. And that's just turning you into a robot
Yes.
and not even a droid.
Yeah.
Like that's definitely not what I think actual Jedi code means or should be standing for.
Yeah, which is the opposite. We've talked about it before, like Luke's Jedi Academy, where
Yes.
it's no, embrace that stuff.
Yeah.
You gotta
'cause
go
that's
through
what
it.
makes you stronger. That gives you purpose.
Yeah. So Anakin
Mm.
needed a bit of a better mentorship.
Yeah,
Yeah.
definitely.
I think even asking, I mean, it obviously never happens in the film, but asking Obi-Wan, but then Obi-Wan would know. He'd be like,
Yeah.
I know what this is about.
Yes.
So,
Yeah.
yeah, not great advice, particularly because, you can say, to trust a God and things like that, but he's literally watching her die in the future. So it's like, well, the Force is warning me.
I guess that's the thing. Yeah, if you're getting a warning
Yeah.
about something, there's obviously action that needs to happen from that. So to then just be like, let go and don't worry about it is like,
Yeah.
the advice, considering the issue at hand, the advice was,
Yeah, but he obviously can't be too specific, so that's part of the problem, I suppose.
yeah.
But this is when Anakin heads back to see Obi-Wan. He's missed a briefing of the Outer Rim Siege's report, but all's going well. But the Senate is expected to vote more executive powers to the Chancellor. Obi-Wan tells Anakin that Palpatine has requested his presence, but Palpatine didn't say what it was for. And Obi-Wan's a bit sus about this. He's like, I'll be a bit careful about your friendship with Palpatine there. I don't know. It's just, it's a bit sus. It's not, I don't know.
It's got slightly more powerful and far younger vibes. And I'm not cool with that. Yeah.
That's it. Palpatine tells Anakin that he needs him to be the eyes, ears, and voice of the Republic. He's appointing him to be his personal representative in the Jedi Council. And the Council was very sus of this.
Yeah.
They're like, the Chancellor can't really be allowed to do that. So, look, you're on this council, but we don't grant you the rank of master.
Burn. The subject of so many jokes and memes all across the internet for many years. It's good stuff. I'm so sorry.
It's not fair. How could someone be on the council and not be a master?
Take a seat, young Skywalker. In
the council session, Yoda decides that he's going to go assist the Wookiees in trouble. What's the planet called again? Is it like Kashyyyk? Yoda's going to Kashyyyk to help the Wookiees. But yes, again, the council's very sus of Palpatine at this point.
Hang on, is this the scene where they say, what about the droid attack on the Wookiees?
Yes.
Another classic line.
Obi-Wan tells Anakin that the council have given him a secret assignment to spy on the Chancellor.
Oh, that's a Uno reverse count. I like it.
That scene is good.
Yeah.
Anakin doesn't really take this to much enthusiasm. He doesn't want to spy on, the Chancellor. He's my friend.
But the chemistry between Obi-Wan and Anakin in that scene is really good. Yeah.
It's true. Windu and Yoda talk about the prophecy and about whether Anakin really is the chosen one. Yoda goes, the prophecy could have been misread. Maybe not.
Little chestnut.
Yes.
It was...
I still want to know more about this prophecy.
Yeah.
Where did it come from? Who had this prophecy?
Yeah, I think there's theories.
The whole, extended universe opportunity there for some, prequel. Is it the High Republic? What was the...
According to Disney, yes. Disney tried to allude the fact that Palpatine is Anakin's dad at one point. I'm like, that's it. I'm out. I'm done.
Shmee! Qui-Gon would never.
On that note.
So silent. So silent then.
There's this bit here between Padme and Anakin where Padme says, what if we're on the wrong side? What if the Republic is the evil that they've been fighting to destroy?
It's interesting because this scene shows how effectively, I don't want to say it because, people have their own reasons for following whatever they do, but it comes across like he's brainwashed by the Chancellor at this point. Because, what you're saying is treason. And it's like, hold on, it's your wife. She's a pretty nice woman. What's she trying to say,
Yeah.
You're sounding like a separatist.
The way he says that.
You should be, this is my opinion, in a marriage or a relationship of that nature, you should be able to say anything.
Yeah.
And if your partner's like, I don't agree with you, that's valid, but there should be that desire. It should be a safe space.
Yeah.
You should be able to say anything and have them be like, hang on, what do you mean by that? I wouldn't have expected that from you.
Yeah.
You like killing puppies? We should talk about that.
Yeah.
Yes, he straight away shuts her down and is like, that sounds treasonous. That sounds like separatism.
Yeah, but he's got obviously strong loyalty to the state, which is exactly what the Jedi are not supposed to be.
I think he has strong loyalty to Palpatine.
Yes, specifically.
I don't think
yes.
it's the whole state.
Yeah, but it's that the way he words it is like that, whereas the Jedi are supposed to be impartial no matter what side of the political aisle they're on.
So, Anakin meets with Palpatine at a, and this is when, Ollie, you pointed out the George Lucas cameo.
Yes. Yes, so you guys both missed that. So in the bottom left corner, George Lucas, full-on blue face paint. So he Peter Jacksons himself into a film. It's good.
That's fun.
Yeah. I'm surprised he hasn't done more cameos in his own films, but there you go.
Yeah, like a Stan Lee thing.
Yeah, or something.
George Lucas.
Yeah.
So Anakin meets with Palpatine at a theater with people watching and applauding a giant floating bubble area with people swimming through. I don't know. It was weird. I don't know what I was seeing, but it was weird.
Cirque du Soleil.
Cirque du Soleil, but with giant bubbles.
I understand it's an opera. I heard that.
What kind of opera has giant bubbles and people swimming through it?
Look,
Star Wars.
Okay.
Yes, that's the answer. And you were talking during the cinema about how you were getting the Plagueis and Snoke vibes. I remember.
Yes.
Yeah.
From the music, the score. John Williams is referencing himself there, I think.
Well, later on he does,
Later on.
If only it was Plagueis.
It would have just given those films so much more dimension.
Yeah.
Oh well.
Yes, but we're about to get a iconic line.
Oh, we are indeed.
A line that I've seen graffitied on walls. I've seen it on cushions at Kmart. I've seen it on the internet. I've seen it everywhere.
Cushions that came out.
You know the cushions where you can draw shapes in
Like
it.
with the sequence?
Yes.
Yeah.
I've walked past it, and it says, have you heard the tragedy?
That's hilarious.
Yeah.
Wow.
Yeah.
That is amazing.
Yeah, it's cool.
That's such dedication.
Well, before we get to that, Palpatine tells Anakin that he's unable to rely on the Jedi Council. He says the Jedi Council want control of the Republic. They want to betray me. And he tells Anakin, search your feelings. You know, don't you? And then he's also like, they asked you to spy on me, didn't they?
It's so good, this scene.
Yeah.
Where he does that. It doesn't come across as clunky at all. It's just like,
It's one of the smoother ones.
it's smooth. It's like he's wise, but also like, this guy knows too much. From an audience perspective, this guy knows too much.
Something that Anakin, I think, should have picked up on more was when Palpatine's like, the Sith and Jedi are almost similar in every way.
Yeah.
Mm.
Objection. I feel like this scene wasn't actually necessarily it, but I can't remember where it is exactly that I'm thinking of, but multiple times in this film. So you know how I always love the subtext in dialogue, or I love the show don't tell stuff. I'm always going on about that.
Mm.
So I have a deep appreciation for not spoon feeding, dialogue wise. I feel like this film takes it to an extreme where characters will ask a question and the character will never respond with just the straight up answer to that.
And you mean that in a good way? Or
I think it's too much. I think that some of the dialogue feels so like choppy. It almost feels like they're not having cohesive conversations.
can you think of an example?
I'm trying to think what it was in this particular scene that made me think of it. So the natural example in this scene is when Palpatine will be like, you know the Jedi, search your feelings or something. And Anakin's just like, the Jedi don't trust you. Like that's kind of all he lets on in that moment, rather than just being like, yeah, that's true. They are plotting against you or whatever.
I suppose in that scene, he doesn't want to fully acknowledge it.
And that's why in the context of this one, it's good.
Oh, I see what you're saying. Right.
There's just a few other times where it's like so jarring.
It's interesting.
But I can't remember them, so we'll have to wait and see.
Yeah, I'd be curious to see what you mean, because I
Yeah.
thought the dialogue-wise, it's certainly the best of the prequels in terms of dialogue overall. So I'd be curious.
It's interesting, though. So you reckon instead of it doing too much spoon feeding, it's not doing enough?
I think it does the opposite.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay.
But I have to remember some examples because I've made a big claim now and I can't back it up.
All right, here we go.
All right, but yes. And Palpatine's like, do you ever hear the tragedy of Darth Plagueis the Wise?
Yes, all the time.
No,
Yeah.
it's not a story the Jedi would tell you.
Yeah.
And so Palpatine tells Anakin that Plagueis could use the Force to influence the midi-chlorians to create life. He could also save the ones he loved from dying. And immediately Anakin's like, oh,
Yeah.
this might be of interest to me.
I mean, it's easy to say from an audience perspective, but you've got to think, like, that's eerily close to what I'm going through.
Yeah. I wonder
Hmm.
how Palpatine knew Anakin was having those dreams. And I'm jumping a little bit of the gun here because he only sort of confesses that he knows that a lot later in the film.
Yeah.
But in this scene, it's implied that he's playing this game. He's been playing this long game for ages. What he's saying totally implies that he knows that Anakin is going through a stressful time with Padme
Yeah.
around this issue. Like, why would he be bringing up, oh, yes, I know how to save those you love from death? Like, he's aware. How is he aware?
I know that he knows the marriage because as the Chancellor, he's got access to all the records. So I know that part. I'm not sure about the nightmares, though.
That's a pretty intimate detail.
Yeah, but that to go from that to, yes, I know she's going
I
to.
wonder, is it possible, can you force manipulate dreams onto someone?
That sounds legit, doesn't it?
Because that would be a game changer for the story.
Yes. Then Anakin is, I mean, look, he did chop down a lot of younglings, but he is almost the victim then completely.
Yeah,
Interesting.
So true.
Yeah.
And then this is when Palpatine says, the dark side of the Force is a pathway to many abilities some consider to be unnatural.
Can I just say that has opened up so many doorways and closed so many other doorways? It's fantastic.
Well,
Like extended universe sort of content and like rules and regulations of the world of Star Wars.
Yes, because it explains why Darth Maul was able to survive being chopped in half, but it doesn't explain why in Ahsoka someone gets skewed with a lightsaber and is completely fine, because some people say, oh yeah, but the Force, you can do whatever. It's like, no, the dark side can. The light side is actually much more natural.
The more I watch Star Wars and the more I sort of hear about the cans and can'ts, and this is mostly from the EU stuff, the more I'm like, the dark side is stronger.
Yes. Technically it is. Yeah.
Like, the people wielding it have far more power.
I think that's safe to say, but it eats you from the inside.
Yeah,
That's the
cost
drawback.
is pretty high.
Yeah, so you can do some serious damage, but you can't walk in public anymore. You look a bit too evil, So
But that line, that the dark side is a path many consider unnatural, is it not true that Lucasfilm used that as an explanation as to why Palpatine returned in the sequels?
did they use any explanation at all? I thought it was just somehow Palpatine returned.
I don't think anyone cared what the explanation was. Didn't they have clone tanks in the back being like, also other bodies and stuff?
Yeah, but it was just clumsily, because it's effectively Dark Empire again, except not really planned out.
See, I don't know if it was whether it was in Rise of Skywalker that they said that line, or Palpatine repeated that line, or whether it was my friend who pointed it out to be, oh, that's probably why they did it.
Yeah, well, it's clone bodies, but I don't know. It was just so awkwardly handled. I don't know. Like the Dark Empire, I'm gonna have to lend you those. Like it's actually like better. It's not great, but it's better because at the end of the day, the Skywalker still takes out Palpatine, so it's all good.
True.
And then so Palpatine says, Plagueis taught everything he knew to his apprentice, who killed him in his sleep.
And then smiles a smug little smile.
A fun fact in the Plagueis novel, you can consider it to not be part of the story if you want, because Disney, but he actually killed him not that long ago.
Really?
Plagueis was around during episode 1
Ooh.
in the background. So it's actually fairly fresh stuff. Plagueis is the reason Palpatine got to where he is, basically, because he was financing him. He was part of the banking clan.
Ah.
So he actually, he engineered it. And then when Palpatine's like, well, I'm going to be made Supreme Chancellor, a bit of Force lightning while you're sleeping. So that's,
Whoa.
yeah, so it's super fresh.
Wow.
Yeah.
That's crazy.
I was next to you when we watched this movie, and I was like, wait, I just want to confirm Palpatine's Plagueis' apprentice, right?
Yeah.
Because I
he is.
actually didn't know that prior.
Yeah.
That's cool.
And that's the smile he does. Like, McDermott's just such a great actor. Just like that smile, it says it all. So good.
Yeah, it's probably why I had to
I
ask
like
that.
that they never articulate that directly.
Yes.
I'm really, really glad that they weren't like, and it is me, I am the apprentice of Darth Plagueis the Wise. They were like, think about it.
Yeah.
And if you work it out, enjoy.
Yeah. It's part of again, laying the groundwork. So good.
Yeah.
Palpatine goes, ironic, isn't it? He could save others from dying, but not himself.
Mwahaha.
Which is kind of the opposite of what happens to Anakin in the end of the film.
As in, like, he saves nobody, not even himself.
Like, everybody dies.
Yeah.
And he's the only one that lives.
And even then, barely.
Yeah, that's it.
Yeah, that's
Barely.
true. But that's a spoiler. We're not there yet.
Oh, sorry, man. You got your legs. It's all good.
You've had almost 20 years.
Hey, I'm just getting Fight Club PTSD right now. Please stop. Okay.
I've seen the Fight Club, so I don't know what that means.
So, without spoilers, there is a plot element that going into it for the first time, not knowing it, is key.
Oh, that's right. We had this conversation.
Yes.
Because you got that ruined for you.
Yeah.
I remember now.
So, yeah.
Sorry, I'm with you now.
Yeah.
But this is when Anakin is intrigued enough to ask, is it possible to learn this power? Not from a Jedi.
So good. I remember seeing that because I remember Revenge of the Sith I saw it at the cinema, and I sort of like remember bits of Attack of the Clones, but not really. Like I was old enough to now like have a solid. I remember going like with school friends to see this at the cinema, and I remember in the trailers leading up to it, Not from a Jedi was in all the trailers. It was just it was so cool.
And so at the next council meeting, because Palpatine told Anakin, oh, we found where General Grievous is hiding.
Yeah.
Anakin shares this info with the council. But Anakin's like, the Chancellor wishes it that I lead the campaign. And Master Windu's like, no, I don't think so.
Master Windu's so mean to Anakin.
Yeah.
It's not even just like a professionalism. It's like downright rude.
Yeah.
I'm like, this guy has ticked you off, hasn't he?
Yeah.
Time and time again.
That's
You're
it.
bitter about this kid.
It must be in like some novel or something. Why? Because it seems like maybe it's because he's the chosen one. I don't know.
Bit of jealousy.
Maybe.
Un-Jedi-like of you.
I was thinking during this scene as well, the fact that the Chancellor wanted him to lead the campaign, which would have changed the whole story sequence. But did the Chancellor know he'd get turned away from that? So they're like, yes, do that, and you'll get even more angry.
Yeah. That's it.
Mm.
Oh, he's 100% stoking that fire.
Yeah.
I reckon it's probably the latter.
Yeah.
I think he probably knew that they'll say no to that because of the me stuff. and then Anakin's going to feel that rift even more,
Mm.
and he's basically trying to cut him away from the rest of the Jedi
Yeah.
as much as he can.
Mm.
But you're right about Windu there. He's got some sass to Anakin, hasn't he? He's a bit like, no, the Chancellor won't decide where you go. I'll decide where you go. Yeah.
To jump out of this film for a moment, isn't there a scene from the Clone Wars where I think maybe even Ahsoka says it, where we can't be basically taken down as long as we're together? Isn't there a line, something like that?
Probably.
Because Anakin gets shown that he becomes Darth Vader, becomes evil for a minute, then not. And I think, isn't Ahsoka says something like that? So, because Anakin's being isolated from everybody in this film. So the idea of him being isolated more and more, him driving that rift.
And so at Kashyyyk, the battle between the droids and the Wookiees begin. And so that's happening while everything in the future is happening. Obi-Wan departs from Coruscant, but not before Anakin bids him farewell and apologizes for his recent arrogance, which was...
This scene.
Yeah, this is where we'll know that this is the last interaction they'll have before until next time where things will be a bit more spicy.
Yeah.
Spicy.
What did you guys think about the chemistry between them? Like Obi-Wan, says, may the Force be with you and everything. The way it's just all framed.
Yeah, it's nice.
Yeah.
It's very nice.
It's all nice. The only bit that makes it really obvious that it's like a final conversation is when he's like, "See you later, old friend," or something.
Yeah.
Like his final farewell comment is very classic, like, "Oh, I'm not going to see you again under these circumstances."
Yeah. Like
If it had just been like, "See you later, Anakin. Yeah, may the Force be with you and also with you," like you'd be like, "Cool." Whereas because it's like that whole farewell, old friend, or something, you're like, "Uh-oh."
Yeah.
Yeah.
And I guess as the audience, because we're shown that goodbye, that farewell, you sort of know something's going to happen
Yeah.
from that moment. So it's like, yeah, I definitely agree there.
I thought it was just such a really nice moment to the point where like that scene gets memed in, like if someone passes away, people will use that line. It's just the way it's done. I think it means to people.
Sad meme.
Yeah, but it's also wholesome because the way Obi-Wan, McGregor delivers the line, it feels very, just wholesome, I guess.
It does. It's a very, I guess, a bittersweet scene.
Yeah.
Really.
And so Anakin's still having these same visions, but this time he can see that Obi-Wan's there helping her. He's like, "Save your energy, breathe," in these visions.
Yeah, because if it was Sidious putting those things in his head, then Obi-Wan wouldn't be there, surely.
Oh, why not?
Because
He's trying to alienate Obi-Wan. He's trying to alienate Anakin from everyone. Anakin gets suspicious of Obi-Wan.
I suppose.
Anakin suddenly starts going, I don't even know how I know this, but I've heard something before about Anakin thinking that Padme was going behind his back with Obi-Wan.
Oh, yeah, in the next scene, he actually asked it. Yeah, okay.
And there's like sort of some accusation there. And yes, in the next scene with Padme, he's like, Obi-Wan was here. What was he doing? What was he asking? Like, he's obviously suspicious.
Yeah.
So
okay.
if Palpatine is putting the visions in Anakin's head, it makes total sense that he would be like, okay, let's put Obi-Wan Kenobi in a bad light. The weakness in that theory is, of course, that they did turn out to be accurate future.
Yes.
And it's like, well, how did he know that?
Hmm.
But then again, as we've established, the dark side is a pathway to many abilities that some would consider to be unnatural.
There we go.
That's it. This is when Anakin tells Padme that he feels lost. Like, lost? What do you mean? It's like, I'm not the Jedi I should be. He wants more, but he says that Obi and the Council don't trust him.
I just think Anakin's just been a bit silly. I mean,
Yeah.
Obi-Wan seems pretty chill with you. I mean, if it was Obi-Wan Episode 2 style, I get it. But like in this film, no. Like he's...
Obi-Wan literally just, the last thing he said to Anakin was, you are more of a Jedi than I'll ever be.
Yeah.
That sounds like pretty high praise to me.
Yeah.
Also because Obi-Wan's better than him.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah.
There's that.
And I guess it's just a symbol of, like, as soon as the Master leaves, he immediately just starts to have his insecurities flood into his mind a bit there.
Yeah.
Which would support that whole, how Obi-Wan Kenobi grounds him.
Yeah.
That you were saying.
Yeah.
Yeah, he's not really stable, I guess, is he?
Oh, no.
No.
But we never got stability vibes from Anakin. Ever.
Well, yeah.
He was never really rocking the whole good mental health.
No. Are you an angel? No, there was something sus right from the start there, wasn't there?
So Obi-Wan arrives at Utapau, where he speaks with, I don't know the name of the guy who speaks with? Do you guys?
My brain went to Tatooine episode 2.
Is this the where he lands on the thing and he's like,
And the guy's like, we're being hostage. We're
Yeah,
being
yeah.
held
Oh,
hostage.
those guys.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I like that scene.
That's what's the 'cause the same as the Inquisitor from Rebels.
Are they?
Well, yeah, believe it or not,
That's cool.
those aliens. Anyway.
Well, yeah, he speaks.
Cool design. Cool design.
Yeah.
They are.
Yeah.
So everyone's like, oh, I just need some fuel. But the guy's like, he's here. Grievous is here.
Can I ask a question?
Yes.
All right. So I've wondered this since the dawn of time. When the ship takes off and the ship's being watched by the droids.
Who you're about to ask?
Yes. So how did he evade being seen getting out?
I had the same question.
Yeah. Okay.
I had the exact same question.
Don't know.
Because it's his ship that leaves.
Yeah.
And the last shot we saw was him inside the ship.
Yeah.
So then how did he get out and the guy watching above didn't
Yeah.
see?
Because he's then under the shade with the robe up. So it's like, oh,
Yeah.
he's been out of the ship for maybe a good few minutes.
Yeah.
How did he?
I don't know. I think he must have used the dark side.
To some abilities that are unnatural.
Some abilities
Yeah,
that are natural.
Man, the plot thickens.
This is my new gateway to, not gateway, what am I trying to say? Like the permission of like, oh, but how does this work? How is that possible? It's the dark side.
Sounds reasonable to me. I dig it.
And so Obi-Wan takes what's called a boga to the 10th level, the giant lizard things.
Ah,
yeah.
Yeah.
interesting.
And this is where he sees Grievous in a meeting with the Separatist leaders. Tells him to go to Mustafar. But then this is, of course, where we get one of Obi-Wan's most famous lines.
Oh, yes.
No one in the cinema reacted like they should have. That was my one little like, oh, come on.
I'm surprised. Yeah.
There should have been like a collective, hey,
Yeah.
at least or something.
I looked at
Yeah.
Oli being like, this is your moment.
Yeah, that's it.
Yeah.
I even said it very quietly.
You did.
Did you?
Yeah,
Yeah,
you
yeah.
did.
That was very quiet because I was next to you and I didn't hear.
Oh, well, yeah.
Yeah.
Look,
The
I-
line-
Respectfully quiet. We love that.
yeah.
The line, of course, is when Obi-Wan drops down and says,
Hello there.
hey.
And thus, many internet memes were born.
Yeah.
That's
So
it.
So good.
And so this is where Grievous engages in battle with Obi-Wan. And this is where we first see 4 sabers all at once.
Yeah.
This is cool.
It's so cool.
It's the escalation at that point, isn't it? So we've had single blade, double blade, curved blade. Now we've got 4 blades.
Yeah, that's it. Obi-Wan and Grievous are fighting, and then he's able to sever 2 of the 4 lightsabers in his hand.
Can I look? I have to say that sword fighting, not easy.
No.
I get Obi-Wan, he's fantastic. But how on earth did he beat a guy with 4 swords?
Yeah. Grievous should not have lost that fight.
Yeah.
Like, respectfully.
Yeah.
True.
I love Obi-Wan, but I guess in some ways it sets up for the fact that he then destroys Anakin in their lightsaber
I
battle.
suppose, yeah.
But there is a moment, because I watched this with interest, when at the start of the fight, Grievous has those 2 lightsabers just spinning in front of him,
Mm.
Yeah.
and Obi's backing away. He basically stops spinning the lightsabers
Yeah.
as soon as Obi lunges at him. I'm like, if you just kept spinning them, those would have knocked his out of his
I had
hand,
the same
and
thought.
that would have been that.
Yeah. Yeah.
Exact
Yeah.
same
That's
thought.
a very strange choice.
Yeah.
But they were like, well, we can't kill Obi-Wan Kenobi off.
I know, but surely there'd be a better way to do
I thought
it.
maybe he'd like leap over him or something.
That's what I thought
Break
too.
the pattern of his twirling, and then once that's broken, then you can start engaging in the combat.
Yeah.
Mm.
It felt weird.
Yeah, it does.
No, I had a similar thought there. If Grievous just kept spinning those 2 front blades,
He probably would have won.
that's it. But then suddenly the clones arrive. And so Grievous runs away on the weird bike tire looking thing.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's
Oh yeah, that.
it's a cool vehicle.
Can you imagine tipping that thing over?
Yeah.
Yeah, unlucky.
Yeah.
Although it's got the 4 like arm leg.
Oh, it does, doesn't it?
So
Yeah.
You couldn't, or if you did, it would just maybe climb up again.
Yeah. Good point.
Crazy.
And so yeah, Obi-Wan chases after Grievous.
On his big, oversized chameleon thing.
Boga, yes. And then we cut to Windu where he says he senses a plot to destroy the Jedi. And he also senses the dark side surrounding the Chancellor.
At that point,
At that point.
yeah. Number 1, late to the game.
It's one of those classic things of like, it's so easy as a viewer to be like, come on, guys.
Yeah.
But then when you're in the moment, you're like, you're not as objective. Your
Yeah.
vision's not as clear. But honestly, with this film, this just sounds so bad now. I've been all like, oh, it's just the dark side, and the dark side's more powerful. But I cared less about the Jedi in this film than I have on like any other Star Wars media that I've engaged with.
And why do you think that is?
I think it's things like the advice that Yoda gave to Anakin.
Right.
It's moments like Mace Windu just being, I would actually say, emotional in his responses to Anakin.
Yeah.
Like that coldness is not passive.
Yeah.
Like it's not balanced.
Mm.
It's emotional in its harshness.
Right.
And so I think the Jedi have already kind of fallen.
Yeah.
Their ability to use the Force has been diminishing. You know, we know that.
Yeah, it's interesting you say that because there's a lot of video essays about how bad the Jedi are for one reason or another. And
Sure.
they do cite like that kind of stuff.
Right. So I don't think the Jedi are bad.
No, but in terms
just think
of...
that this particular season of the Jedi is corrupt. Because I was sitting there going, like, if Anakin wasn't the chosen one, the Jedi would have fallen to someone else. Mace is going, there's a plot for the Jedi. It's like, there is. If they had managed to successfully foil Palpatine, there would have just been another one at some other point. Like, they had it coming, is I guess what I'm saying.
Yeah.
Because the issues were not external. It wasn't like if Ahsoka's right when she says we're stronger together. Like if that moment is legit, they're not currently operating within that same.
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah, well, they accused her, and that's why she left the Jedi Order, isn't it?
Yeah.
That wasn't very Jedi-like, so
Yeah.
similar sort of stuff, isn't it?
Yeah.
I wonder if this all has to do with their force power diminishing, as I mentioned in Attack of the
Yeah.
Bit of
Clones.
that, yeah.
Yeah.
I suspect same thing, but that it's the other way around, that their force power is diminishing because of these things.
Yeah.
Yes.
That's right.
They're losing their way.
Yeah.
But yeah, no, it's just frustrating for them to say things like, "Oh, we're going to confront the Chancellor after Grievous is destroyed, and so make sure that he gives up his emergency powers." Like, they mentioned it earlier, but like this is someone whose term should have expired long ago,
Yeah.
and they're only just being sus of him now, really.
Yeah, and their desire for self-protection is really strong.
Mm.
The Jedi Council, like they're just operating so much out of fear, and I don't think out of wisdom, because something like the Jedi Order, if it's successful, if it's authentic, I think it can function on very little.
Yeah.
I don't think you need a lot of stuff. I don't think you necessarily need a lot of members, and I think that this is my interpretation of Star Wars, is that when it's operating well, by default it's going to be prosperous. You'll have more Jedi coming in, training more Jedi, like the good, if you will expand. But because they're like clinging on so tightly, it's like that bit in episode 4 when Leia's like to General Tarkin, the more you tighten your grip, the more systems will slip through your fingers.
Yeah.
I feel like that's what the Jedi are experiencing. They've got all this, they don't have much left, but the more they try and grab onto it, the more it's just sort of slipping away.
I mean, they have that temple on Coruscant in expanded universe stuff, but the temple itself is very larger than life. It's very grandiose.
Yes.
And is that part of the problem as well? They've lost that, being in touch with nature and life.
Yeah.
They're surrounded by this grandiose building,
Yeah.
and that's part of their losing their way. If they
Yeah.
go back to basics, it'd be much more successful.
There you go. Well, this is going to conclude part 1 of our Revenge of the Sith discussion.
Hey.
Yes. But look, as far as where we are at in the film, it's such a great natural pacing to what will eventually be the fall of the Republic. But yeah, I never took notice of it really, or wasn't as focused from last time I watched Revenge of the Sith. But it's like the pacing and the way it leads up to that eventual downfall, I think it was good. It wasn't too fast and it wasn't too slow.
Yeah.
It was like enough to capture your attention, but not to make you feel like it could have been done better,
Yeah.
Yeah.
It was cool. I liked it. Yeah.
Yeah. It's got the X factor.
Yeah.
I'm saying it's very. Whereas episode 2, it can get a little, whatever. And episode 1, for a lot of people, it drags out. This film feels like it doesn't waste any time.
Yeah, for
That's
sure.
what I felt anyway. Lily, you're not a prequel girl, but are you more now?
I am sure I appreciate it more for discussing it with you guys.
Yeah.
Definitely. And for seeing it on the big screen.
Yes.
100%.
Cool.
Respect for it.
That's awesome. We're glad to hear that at least.
Hang on. And you are just as much a prequel fan?
Oh, yeah.
Yeah, nice.
Absolutely.
And you, Ollie?
Yes. Yeah. Just the same. Nothing's moved.
Amazing. Well, we're going to cut it there for part 1, but we're going to have part 2 happening next week, which will be great. But
Yeah.
it's going to be great. and in a great celebration of our 10 episodes. I'm glad that we're still doing this stuff that we love doing, because it's been a blast. And
Yeah.
you know, I've heard all this feedback from people being like, oh, I love how Oli talked about this and Lily pointed out this and all that sort of stuff. And I'm like, yes, that's why we do it.
Yeah.
So it's awesome. All right. Well, we will see you all next week for part 2 of Revenge of the Sith.
Ciao, ciao for now.
Have fun.
Thanks for listening to Popcorn Jabber. Popcorn Jabber was hosted by David Howard Jones, Ollie Phillips, and Lily Fullwood. Each episode is edited and produced by David Howard Jones. The opening and closing music is written and composed by Lily Fullwood. If you enjoyed the episode, please consider leaving a 5-star review on Spotify or Apple Podcast. For any feedback or movie suggestions, please email us at popcornjabber@gmail.com.